Ajax make Erik ten Hag their number one managerial target, an update on Nagelsmann, and a potential shock pursuit for Adrian Rabiot and Rafael Leão. These are just some of the stories we will be discussing on the show this morning. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. So, as always, I like to start the show off with some positivity here on Daily Red Devil. And I wanted to say a massive, massive congratulations to Shia Lacy. Obviously come through the youth academy, and the story this morning is that he has now officially signed his first professional contract with Manchester United. It says Lacy has signed a 5-year deal, keeping him at the club until 2029. So for anybody who's unaware who he is, because I know obviously not everybody watches the youth team, 17 years of age, he is a winger. Looks like he could be one of the players to break through into the first team. That's what, from what I've seen of him and from what I've heard. He can operate in multiple different positions as well, which I think is really, really exciting about him. His primary position is right wing, but he can also play on the left wing and as an attacking midfielder. He's been really good for the youth team this season. So yeah, congratulations to him. And this is exactly what we want. We want more players like Kobe Mainoo coming through from the youth academy and showing why why our youth academy is one of the best in the world. So congratulations to Lacy. Really, really happy for you. So well done on that. So let's move on to some more topical related Manchester United news. Let's start the show off by talking a little bit about Nagelsmann. So there was a big update that came in last night from Plettigol on Twitter, Florian Plettenberg, very reliable journalist over in the Bundesliga. And he is reporting that apparently Nagelsmann is now in advanced talks to become the new Bayern Munich manager. I mean, from people I've spoken to who want Erik ten Hag to be sacked, Nagelsmann's like the number one choice, isn't it? Nagelsmann's not going to come to Manchester United. We know that. He's going to go to Bayern Munich. That's clearly going to happen. The Sporting Lisbon manager, Ruben Amorim, he's going to go to Liverpool. All of these managers that are supposedly available, they aren't really available. They've already been sought after by clubs because at the end of the day, Bayern Munich announced that Thomas Tuchel was leaving months ago. Liverpool announced that Jurgen Klopp was leaving about a month ago. And these teams have been working behind the scenes to bring this new manager in. So all we're going to be left with is Gareth Southgate, Graham Potter, Thomas Tuchel, those types of managers, none of which I want. So it's a bit of a disappointment. I still want Erik ten Hag to remain. But if Erik ten Hag was to go, Nagelsmann probably would be top of the list because I think he fits the profile. He's young. He's obviously a very, very good manager. And I think he would come and do well at Manchester United. But if he's going to go somewhere else, all of the other top targets are going to go elsewhere, then sticking with Erik ten Hag for one season until a better option appears is obviously the go-to option. But the story, keeping on the topic of managers, this is coming out from a very reliable source in the Netherlands this morning. Very, very reliable, tier 1 source. And he is reporting this morning that Erik ten Hag is Ajax's dream manager for this summer. It says they are also working on a plan B and a plan C unless Erik ten Hag says no. So for anybody who's unaware, Ajax have been absolutely terrible since Erik ten Hag left. They've been awful. I think they're 5th or 6th in the Dutch league. They've been absolutely thrashed by some teams this season. They are an absolute laughingstock. They're way worse than Manchester United. Just let me say that. Ajax used to walk the league in the Eredivisie every single season. They used to do well in the Champions League, and they've been terrible since Erik ten Hag left. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they want him to come back. He worked absolute wonders at Ajax, and that was how he managed to earn himself the job here at Manchester United. Now, do I think this will happen? I'm not entirely sure because I think for Erik ten Hag, he's probably got his sights set on bigger clubs. We know that obviously Ajax are a massive club. Don't get me wrong; they are huge, but bigger clubs is maybe the wrong wording. Different opportunities. Obviously, we know that Barcelona are looking for a manager. We know that Dortmund are apparently looking for a manager. There are lots and lots of clubs out there that are looking for managers. As I said, it looks like Nagelsmann's going to go to Bayern and it looks like Ruben Amorim's going to go to Liverpool. So he's not going to end up at Bayern Munich or Liverpool, but there are plenty of other clubs who are in search of a manager, as I said, Dortmund and Barcelona to name a few. Obviously, Xavi's leaving at the end of the season. So I don't know. I don't know what will happen. What I will say is this, right? If Erik ten Hag was to leave, he will get a job somewhere else and he'll do well, and we'll all be sat here in 2 years saying, Why the hell did we let Erik ten Hag go? We've now got Graham Potter. It's terrible. The football's awful. We're struggling to get in the Champions League, and Erik ten Hag will be off winning trophies at another club. I'm confident of that. I have absolutely no doubt in his ability as a manager, and I think this conversation just comes around every 2 years, and it all needs to be pinned towards the players, because Mourinho is one of the best managers in the world. They threw him under the bus. Van Gaal, I think, maybe is, I wouldn't put him in the best manager in the world category, but Ollie was there. He gave them a good time, good vibes. Everyone was happy. Everyone was smiling. 6 months later, they throw him under the bus. So we just need to realign our focus on this kind of negativity that obviously the manager has a massive part in it. The manager decides to pick Casemiro and Rashford every game, even though they're playing terrible. The manager decides to not substitute Rashford or Casemiro in the game against in the game on the weekend when they were both having an absolute stinker. But it still is up to the players' personal respect of themselves and of the club to put in effort. And I think that quite a lot of these players this season haven't done that. And I think that can only be pinned on the players. Like Erik ten Hag can't be at fault for Rashford and Casemiro deciding that they don't want to run anymore, and effectively downing tools. But another interesting point to bring into the conversation on the manager. So this is coming out from David Ornstein, obviously a very reliable journalist at The Athletic here in the UK. He is reporting this morning that if Erik ten Hag was on the market, i.e. if Man United sacked him, there would be many clubs looking at him. It says, at times, to have what you already have is good, and United might decide that he is the best candidate to lead them forward. That's exactly what I think in this situation. There isn't an obvious candidate out there to replace Erik ten Hag. We all dream of Zinedine Zidane, but he's not going to come. It's as simple as that. I don't think he even speaks English, and I think he's publicly said he's not going to come to England many times before in the past. So Zidane's off the cards. Nagelsmann's probably the next best option going to Bayern, and Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon is probably the next best option after that, who's going to Liverpool. So once you go past them, you're literally left with like Conte, Mourinho, those types of managers who will all do a good job in probably one season, but at the end of the season, they'll fall out of the players and they will be sacked. Whereas for me personally, he's got 1 year left of his contract, Erik ten Hag. We should have a proper structure in place this summer. We should have a director of football. We should have a CEO, head of recruitment, which will be the first time we've had that in a proper capacity in probably the last 10 or more years. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left, we haven't had a proper structure around the manager. So I think he deserves to have that opportunity with one more season to work with a proper competent team of professionals who say, no, Erik, we're not going to spend 100 million on Anthony. Instead, we're going to go and buy Elise for 40 million. Or he says, no, Erik ten Hag, we don't need a new goalkeeper. We're going to go and buy a new midfielder because it's blatantly obvious that is the priority. And it's easy to criticise Erik ten Hag. It's easy to say, his signings have been poor. I agree they have. But a club of Manchester United's level shouldn't be letting the manager be the director of football. That should never happen. Pep Guardiola doesn't buy the players at Man City. He has an elite team around him who scout the players and bring them in. And they say, Pep, this player will work in your system. They buy him and then Pep Guardiola makes it work. That's how it needs to work at Manchester United, because giving Erik ten Hag the checkbook, as well as expecting him to manage the players, manage the egos of the players, deal with the media, deal with all the other things, like that's not what a manager's job is. It isn't. So that's my take on it anyway. And I think that I would say it's 50-50 at the moment whether Erik ten Hag will stay or go. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments section. Let me know below. Do you want Erik ten Hag to remain or do you want him to go? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm still Erik ten Hag in. Obviously, if we were to get battered by Coventry on the weekend, then I think it would be very, very difficult to kind of support him, because like that's what's kind of holding on. That's what we're all holding on to at the moment, isn't it? To go to an FA Cup final. That would be a good thing for Manchester United, wouldn't it? Considering how poor our season's been. But you can let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Erik ten Hag in or Erik ten Hag out. Let me know your thoughts. Right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about all of this stuff around Garnacho, Anthony, all of this kind of external pressure from the media on these two players. Obviously, there's reports that Anthony was supposedly falling out with the manager. There's all this crap floating around, obviously Garnacho liking people's tweets and all the rest of it. The story this morning coming out from a very reliable journalist here in the UK is that Jim Ratcliffe is apparently very angry about the constant leaks emerging from the club and also the use of social media to criticise the club. Social media is a horrible thing, really, when you think about it, but it's here and it's not going anywhere. So he kind of has to get used to it. If the players are not performing, if the players are not living up to expectations, if the players are not earning the amount of money they're earning, and if the manager's not getting wins, then me and you, as fans of this football club, have the right to voice our opinion. So for him to be angry about the use of social media to criticise the club, I get it. It's negative, it's toxic, and there is a certain way about going about it. And I hope that, you know, people who watch this channel appreciate, as the you know, within our community, how level-headed we try and be and how we try and look at things from every perspective. You know, we don't just scream abuse at the camera. Because I agree that is probably unnecessary, but at the same time, I understand it. Football is an emotional thing, you know. It's something that you invest hundreds and hundreds of, probably thousands of hours of your life into over your lifetime, tens of thousands. You know, if you go to the games, you drive to the game, you pay for your ticket, all the rest of it, you invest money into it, you invest time, and it does bring you down. You know, if you see your players out there not performing, then I can understand why people get emotional and, you know, in a moment of rage will maybe not conduct themselves in the best possible way. And I understand that. So, like, the black and white of it is these players aren't performing. So for Jim Ratcliffe to be angry about the use of social media to criticise the club, well, maybe Jim Ratcliffe should go down to Carrington and say to these players, the fans aren't happy. I'm not happy as the owner. I'm paying you 300 grand a week. You're not performing. You're not even running. Get on with it or get out. That's what needs to happen, you know, because if that happens, the fans will look at it and say, you know, X, Y, and Z player, yes, they've not had the best season, but they're putting in 150% every single game. Sometimes football doesn't work out. Sometimes you have bad luck. But to not even try and to throw a manager under the bus, of course, you're then going to be criticised on social media. So I understand what Jim Ratcliffe's saying, and I think there is a fine line between constructive criticism and abuse, and I think you do have to find that fine line between it. But at the same time, it's an emotional thing. It's something that people live and die for, you know? So I don't know. If anything, Jim Ratcliffe should come out and say that he's not happy with the players and he thinks that they need to put in more effort or something. For him to say, oh, I'm not happy that we're being criticised on social media, it's like, what do you really expect? Do you expect people to come out and be happy with the way that Man United are performing? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit frustrating to see stuff like that. Right, let's quickly move on to Adrien Rabiot and Rafael Leão. So obviously this is more for the summer. So Adrien Rabiot is obviously someone Manchester United have been interested in for a very, very long time. He's going to be out of contract this summer. He will be available as a free agent. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with Rabiot. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. The story this morning is apparently he's now searching for a new club. We know that Man United tried to sign him last year. John Murtough flew off to Turin to try and get him, but his mother apparently scared him back onto the plane. Obviously, Rabiot's mother is the agent of the player, so apparently his wage demands were not what John Murtough expected, so he jumped back on the plane and went back to Manchester. But yeah, let me know what you think about Rabiot. And then there's a story as well coming out about Leão. So this is coming from a Spanish newspaper saying that apparently Jorge Mendes, the super agent, obviously the agent of Ronaldo and many, many players, is apparently attempting to move AC Milan star Rafael Leão to Manchester United. I mean, £114 million is the fee that would apparently cost. It's a no from me. I think he's just another very good player, but somebody who would be on stupid wages and realistically would probably not even succeed at Manchester United. We need younger, hungrier players who are going to come in on smaller wages and then have to earn the big money. Whereas Leao's going to come in and probably want, $500,000 a week. It probably won't work out, and then we'll all be sat here saying, what a stupid signing. But obviously he's a great player. Obviously he's a world-class player, but I think it's, you know, we've gone past the point of just signing one world-class player and expecting that to solve all our problems. But you can let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this morning. If you have enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I always like to see what other Man United fans have to say on the state of affairs at the moment. Have a great day, everybody. I'll be back at 6 p.m. today, and I'll speak to you all soon.